Odell Beckham Jr. is the hottest free agent wide receiver on the market, and the race to sign him, it's heating up. CBS Sports senior NFL insider Josina Anderson has been all over the pursuit of the former Giants wideout, and Josina joins me now. Joe, how's it going? How was your Thanksgiving? How's your Black Friday? How you doing?
Well, Thanksgiving was great, but I put myself on a ban for Black Friday. I am not permitting myself to make any purchases because I am above my expenditures for the year. So I'm trying not to look at any sales because I don't need not one more thing right now.
Well, I'm grateful that you were being fiscally responsible. That's what we got to try to do. We got to do that. Joe, let's get into it. After the Cowboys win over the Giants on Thanksgiving, Jerry Jones said that he spoke with Odell Beckham on Thursday, and he said that he had a, quote, good meeting. Are the Cowboys now in the driver's seat to sign OBJ?
I think that everything relative to OBJ is still wide open and still fluid, which is why I believe that he still wants to have this tour. So it gives him an opportunity to really put all of his options on the table and weigh them side by side, because I think that there are really strong qualities about the teams that he's considering. And then there's some things to, maybe consider a little bit more, whether you want to call them a drawback or not as favorable. But overall, I think what's most important about this decision and this free agency period for Odell Beckham Jr. is just the significance of the decision relative to the fact that obviously everybody knows he's coming off of this second ACL tear, but the desire for him to really get this one right, make it his home, and make it the team that he can really stick with throughout the rest of his career to cement the legacy of his career and obviously have success with that team relative to team success and everything overall that he's trying to accomplish. So in doing that, you not only have to evaluate those aspects that we were talking about individually, but really trying to consider what's the appropriate timing. It's understandable to want to get involved in the thrust of the playoff run, right? But then you have to also ask yourself, when is the best time relative to his leverage? Is that this season, or is that for the next new league year when free agency begins again and he can kind of have more time to rest off of that ACL as well?
The timing is interesting because some people were saying that Thursday's game between the G-men and the boys was the battle for OBJ. So to the Giants losing, did that hurt their chances of bringing the wideout back to New York?
And again, this is just kind of my overall assessment, my thoughts, but I feel like everything that you kind of knew and understood about the Giants are the same before and after that game. Yes, would it have added more allure and more shine if they had won that game? Obviously, for sure. But I think how you quantifiably look at Daniel Jones, where you kind of really categorize their record relative to the season and what they still have to accomplish for the rest of the year. I think all of those things remain the same. I think equally as considerable for the Giants is just the fact that New York is New York. New York is just such a big draw. It's where he was drafted. It's where he was before. So that aspect of it will always be a big lure. And that's obvious, relative to whether you're talking to him or not. And then Saquon is there and Sterling Shepard are there, even though Sterling is coming off of that injury. So like I said, with all of these options, I personally feel like that's what you have to go through with that list, the strong pros and some of the things that maybe are less desirable about those teams.
Now, you talked about the list and the tour that he plans to take. You also reported that Beckham plans to meet with the Bills and he plans to have ongoing conversations with representatives from the Ravens and the Chiefs. So there could be a bunch of teams in the mix here. There are a bunch of teams in the mix. So where does this leave the Giants, who desperately need a wide receiver? The fan base wants them to get a wide receiver. Where does this leave this team that needs to add that kind of offensive talent?
Well, they're in the mix. And as of right now, per the current order that I tweeted Thanksgiving Day, they're the first off of the tour. So that's a good thing, right? And they're obviously still to be considered. I think, overall, when you're just looking at it as a free agent, and you're trying to assess what your long-term possibilities are, or your options are, you obviously want to go to a team that has a strong team, that obviously has a strong quarterback, that has a strong path for success and long-term success. You're looking at the city, you're looking at how they make you feel, you're looking at the contract situation. So all of those things have to come together, and then the timing. And then when all of that is said and done, as I think Odell has done a great job in the past of doing, is just really taking that time to himself as a man, and as a person of the spirit, to have that quiet period to really reflect on all of those things that we just talked about. And whenever it comes to him and downloads to him that that is the appropriate time and that is the appropriate team, then that is what he will do. But I do think that the process is still fluid. It's not definitive relative to all of those things that we talked about. And we will see what ultimately OBJ does.
We will see what he does. The clock is ticking. Everybody wants an answer now, Joe, but we will see. You will be on top of that in all of your coverage. Glad you had a good holiday. Stay away from the Black Friday shopping. Be fiscally responsible, and we'll talk soon.
Yes. I'm still waiting for my Maserati from you, but thanks.
Hey. We'll get that done at some point. We'll get it done.
Okay.
Thanks, Joe.
No problem.